Our motoring tip of the week concerns spark plugs. Now, in the 90s, vehicle manufacturers started to transition from the older style spark plugs that were like $4 or $5 a spark plug to spark plugs that had precious metal integrated into the tips at the firing tip of the spark plug. And over the years, they've used platinum and iridium, and this has caused the spark plug to change from a $4 or $5 item to a $16 to $20 item. Now, at a glance, the spark plug looks the same as it always did, unless you know exactly what to look for. But the other day, I had a customer's car where the alternator had died, and the vehicle immediately needed a new alternator so it could continue. And I looked at the odometer, and it was 390,000 kilometers, and I asked the lady if we'd ever done spark plugs, because she also mentioned that the car ran rough and ragged when it was either cold or damp. When I got there, it was warmed up, she'd driven to work, and it was running smooth as could be. So I said, have we ever done spark plugs? And her immediate answer was, if you haven't done them, they've never been done. And I knew that I'd done a lot of work on this car, but I wasn't the only one working on it, and the other work was done well. I just thought, you know, probably somebody else has done them, right? And I'm sure they were thinking the same thing. You know, he did it, right? Took the spark plugs out of the vehicle at 390,000 K, and they're sitting right here. We don't have the vehicle today, had to give it back to the customer, but here are the 4 spark plugs that came out, and 2 of them, the center electrode is completely eroded away right down flush with the insulator. The gap is so big you can't even measure it. It started out at about 41 thousandths of an inch, but now it's just huge. This car still started and ran semi-normal when it was warmed up. Now, I got thinking, this thing went through last winter with these spark plug gaps so huge. It's a wonder it even started. But the real story here is that now the interval on these spark plugs is 160,000 K. That's such a big interval, it's just off most people's radar screen. It's out of their mind to ever do it. Lots of people trade in the car before it ever needs spark plugs. But if you're acquiring a car that's got high K, or you've tipped across that 160 K threshold, your car likely needs new spark plugs. Now, even though it's running well, it might run better or get better fuel economy or lower emissions, maybe start easier on a cold or damp morning. Or if you're out in Western Canada or Northern Canada, it might be the difference between starting and not starting if you can't get your block heater plugged in. So think about the spark plug a little more often, because it seems like right now, we've just forgotten about it. That's your motoring tip of the week.